people who quit their jobs on the first day. What was your I'm out of here moment? I got hired at this fancy daycare center that advertised themselves as a child development institute. The building looked like a tech startup with glass walls and beanbags everywhere. I was desperate for work after my unemployment ran out, and the pay was actually decent. During the interview, the director kept talking about their revolutionary approach to early childhood education and how they were changing the game. My first day started normal enough. The director handed me an employee handbook that seemed standard at first, but then she flipped to a section called Emotional Calibration Protocol. She explained that staff members weren't allowed to show any facial expressions around the children. Not smiling, not frowning, nothing. She said emotions were contagious, and they wanted the kids to develop their own feelings naturally without adult influence. I thought she was joking, but then she demonstrated the neutral face we had to maintain for 8 hours straight. Eyes forward, mouth relaxed, no eyebrow movement. She even had me practice in front of a mirror while she critiqued my technique. My left eyebrow apparently had too much personality. Next came the communication rules. We weren't allowed to speak to the children directly. Instead, we had to talk about them in third person while they were present. If little Tommy wanted juice, I couldn't ask, "Do you want apple or orange?" I had to say, "One wonders if Tommy prefers apple or orange juice today." The kids looked as confused as I felt, but it got worse. Each classroom had motion sensors that tracked our walking speed. If we moved too fast, an alarm would beep. Too slow, another beep. We had to maintain exactly 2.3 steps per second. The director said predictable movement patterns created stability for developing minds. So I spent the morning doing this weird robot walk while trying to keep my face blank. The breaking point came during lunch prep. They had this thing called the nutritional theater. Instead of just giving kids their food, we had to present each item like we were on a cooking show. But remember, no expressions in third person only. So there I was, holding up a banana saying, "One observes this yellow fruit contains potassium," in a complete monotone, while 5 3-year-olds stared at me like I'd lost my mind. The vegetable presentation required specific hand gestures. Carrots got a circular motion, broccoli needed jazz hands. But jazz hands with a neutral face just looked like I was having a medical episode. One kid started crying because I was freaking him out, but I couldn't comfort him because that would be emotional interference. Then the director walked in for observation. She stood in the corner with a clipboard, rating my performance. She marked me down because my jazz hands showed too much wrist enthusiasm. She said I needed to reduce my movements by 15%. A toddler threw applesauce at the wall and I couldn't react. I just had to stand there with my dead face saying, "One notices Jackson has decorated the wall." When she stepped out to take a phone call about their upcoming investor meeting, I looked around the room. 3 kids were eating glue because nobody could tell them to stop with enough emotion to matter. Another was climbing the bookshelf, while the other teacher did slow motion robot movements trying to reach him. Everyone looked miserable. I carefully maintained my required walking speed to the exit, kept my face neutral as I passed the director still on her call. She was telling someone they'd just been featured in an innovation magazine. I handed my badge to the security guard and told him, "One observes that this employee is departing permanently." He laughed and said I'd lasted longer than most. On my way out, I passed a mom dropping off her kid. The little girl was clutching a teddy bear and looked nervous. The mom was asking about the curriculum, and the director was launching into her speech about emotional independence. I wanted to warn her, but I just kept walking. Some places are too broken to fix, and some paychecks aren't worth pretending that nonsense makes sense.